Everybody, thanks for coming to that talk. My name is Alexandra Boeuf. I'm working at Airbus in the flight physics department and domain of the design office. So I must warn you that I'm not comfortable to talk in front of plenty of people. So if my voice is becoming high-pitched at the moment, some points, don't worry, it's normal. I will survive and finish my talk, nevertheless. So briefly to introduce you with this talk, I'm going to give you some information about the genesis of eVorms and so the Eclipse workflow modeling system and why at Flight Physics we were interested into that. But before I will tell you a bit what we are doing in Flight Physics so that you understand a bit the context. So in flight physics, we are usually users of tools like workflow systems, workflow models. In generally, at flight physics, we are designing the shape of the aircraft. We are computing the aerodynamic data around those shapes, like the wings, like the body. We are, and the aerodynamics data typically are the drag, the lift, things like that. We are deducing from those data the loads on the components of the aircraft in order to size the aircraft, the beams, the internal structure of it. We are doing things like that. We are doing surrogate models around those data in order to put into the simulators to model the aircraft behavior and train the pilots. That's what we are doing. So, but to support all that, we are users in general of tools, of applications. We are also developers. We have developers of capability for flight physics, but typically those capabilities are around our very specific business, like computational field dynamics solvers, typically things like that, numerical methods, implementations. If we are using workflows, generally we are using tools for workflows in order to optimize our design by chaining several domain tools like aerodynamic tools, CFD solver, structural tools. We are optimizing all that in order to achieve a certain objective, like minimizing the drag, for example, given some constraints about the design variables. So that's what we are using. Nevertheless, after trying several times, several cuts around workflows, we have noticed that that it was really difficult to find one which was really fitting all our the flexible way we wanted to design those workflows. And that's the reason why before designing, before the genesis of eVorms, we were very obsessed by the fact where we write to design such a tool at Flight Physics, which is normally not our skills, not what we are skilled to do. However, so generally when we talk about codes like I can give some names on Model Center or iSight, things like that. They claim that it's easy to integrate your tool, it's easy to customize, everything is easy. But in the end, you need to develop a lot, finally. Finally, you develop a lot. Because to integrate a tool, a business tool, is not easy. You've got your own data, your own model, your specific infrastructure, and finally, you develop a lot. And not in an environment which is not an IDE finally. So, for example, if you need debug features about what you have developed, it's really difficult to achieve that in the code. Okay? And when we talk about having your specific workflow features, what we need, and I will show you some of them today, customizing such a tool, which is proprietary in general, it's a huge task, and usually you fail. Or you can, but what you do, the next version will not work anymore, and you will have to migrate. It's going to cost a lot in terms of maintenance and evolution. And it won't be reusable for anyone else. So now you understand more what and why we came to Eclipse. We came to Eclipse for the flexibility, the modularity. We came to Eclipse because of EMF and Eclipse Modeling Framework, which allows us to achieve some good work with low coding workload. And we come to Sirius also because of the nice features it offers in terms of diagram editions on top of the EMF. So to continue on the slides, I will remind during the presentation, I will remind the workflow general features just to remind what we expect in terms of workflow precisely. The main drivers for reforms here. I will also show you briefly on one slide the Eclipse WebGI plugin modeling and EMF footprint on eVorms design, the serious footprint on eVorms design. So very briefly, and then I will start the demo. So basically, workflow feature, it's quite simple. It's first tool integration, basically task by task. One task is one tool, but you need to code it to integrate it. That's the basic, and that's the case everywhere. You need data transfer, you need execution capabilities like retry and failure, you need real-time monitoring, you need also graphical design. Basically, you need all of that and eventually more. But what were our main drivers? When I told you at the beginning, in the introduction, I was saying that in fact we wanted to have our own workflow features. So our own workflow features are very typical of the workflow we want to execute. Sometimes in our optimization workflows, the workflows we are designing are not frozen. Depending when execution of the task, in an optimization, for example, the workflow may decide to create a new process itself. It may change at runtime its internal design. And this in a code is almost impossible. It means that you need to have access to the engine of the workflow. So that was one of the main reasons of doing that. We need also to have processes which do not know their real implementation at runtime. It may depend on the design variable value. It may depend if you want to address this or that method to address a SMCFD computation, but through a solver or another one, depending the result of the process. And this is not usually. Sometimes it is not given by just changing the input of a variable. It may be inside really the execution. So it cannot be a model like that with if or forks or stuff like that. We need something really important. I will insist a lot on that during the demo. Is the fact to bind our data, our process data, or input-output data by business rules. What does it mean precisely? If you look at COTS again, when you create a task, you give inputs and outputs data, you give the type of those data, it's integer, it's strings, it's stuff like that. You can define complex data. You can define minimum, maximum value on those data, list of preferable values, stuff like that. But you cannot say if this data value is that, then those data values are that values only authorized. This kind of business rules which you need to code to model that. Okay, doing that in an XML in a model or trying to reproduce this kind of behaviors, business behaviors, is difficult. And moreover, we've got plenty of data models, we've got plenty of classes in our environment which are modeling typically those business rules, and we would like to reuse them typically in our graphical rendering of the way to define our data. When the user he plays with our data, he defines his data, he wants to see to apply the business rule, to see them applied when he wants to choose his values. Obviously, we need easy access to reusable processes, which means to have a catalog of processes pre-registered so that depending the domain, processes for loads, processes for IO, processes for weights, things like that, so that the users can really find the one he is interested in. Processes are workflows or tasks, whatever. We need also a distributed workflow engine. That's also something which is of interest, because usually when you execute a workflow, you execute it either on your local PC, which is fine, but for us, the majority of our tasks are executed on high-performance computing, for example, like for CFD computation. And when it comes to workflow, which are dealing with several tasks like that, like big HPC task, if the engine is centralized, in fact, the workflow is executed centrally, but is always requesting the task to be called remotely, so on the HPC, but the server is not the HPC where it is executed. So, so the boss tasks, for example, which are on HPC, they are always waiting to execute it, because these kind of things are submitted and you wait in queues so that some CPU are free for you to be executed, etc., etc. So when those two disciplines are tightly coupled, when it is the case for optimization, when you want to optimize something regarding design variables, those two disciplines that are tightly coupled, you want that this workflow, or this sub-workflow of the complete thing, is completely executed, but the engine is executed and they are both executed at the same time. In terms of, so having that for a central, with a central engine is difficult to manage. And finally, we finish by doing a script, which is representing this workflow between those two tasks, and this script itself becomes a task while it should be a workflow, reusable workflow. What else? Or other drivers, for sure, are time cost and quality. For sure, we did not want to develop solutions which were too much time-consuming effort in terms of coding. So that's why we have really chosen this model-based solution to reduce the coding workload, thanks to EMF, thanks to Eclipse and Sirius for sure. We wanted also, obviously, to reduce the license cost, because that seems ridiculous. But codes some codes, their license model is. So the objective of a workflow is to automate a task so that you gain time, you save money in the end. But the more you are running this workflow, in fact, the license, you pay it per workflow. So what you gain in terms of automating your task, you pay it on the license, which is not the objective finally. Okay. So that's a bit that's a bit a shame. And finally, obviously, we want a commercial quality solution that is robust and user-friendly. So now the main drivers are obviously Eclipse, the Eclipse modeling framework, plus Sirius are the main components of EVOMS. In terms of, so very shortly, the EMF footprint, Eclipse and EMF footprint. So we have used the extension point. We have created an extension pod for processes to register our processes, meaning our processes in fact are in plugins, and the code which are attached to those tasks are in those plugins. And once they are deployed, they become part of the platform. They become part, and you can see them like that. We've used, of course, the extensible user interface of Eclipse, like the Project Explorer, the editors, the outline views. We have reused JDT and PyDev for our editors because we are developing tool integration, and for that we did not want to have like it's sometimes the case, a simple text area window where you tap your code and you have pretty few nice IDE features in it. Here we benefit from the complete IDE of Eclipse, which is obviously the top. And model-driven EVOMS design, so the model, the user interface, the validation, the test code, all that is generated for free. Of course, you need to customize it, but a lot of work is done. And you have this integration of bespoke code. I will show you that in a moment. Now the Sirius footprint. On top of this EMF model, we have used Sirius to design our graphical editor of our workflow. So no code to create the graphical elements to handle EVOMS objects, but also no code for style customization of icon decorators and things like that, depending the status or the monitoring of the workflow, things like that. We've got the label, direct edition of the labels, all those nice features that Sirius Workshop are probably you have attended and have been shown several times. But also Sirius allows us very easily to connect external Java actions, so that on some graphical elements you can decide to plug your own widgets that you want. Okay, so that's it for the slides. So I'm going to switch to the demo. Then I will say some words about perspectives after it. There's something I have launched before to start, but it has completely failed, so I will need to stop it. I think it's not going to work. I will I will show you that in the end. That's a pity. I tested this morning at 2 hours. At 2 o'clock it was okay. At 4, no more. That's the demo effect. So what I'm going to show you here is the prototype of EVOMS. It's a prototype we made for demonstrating the feasibility of all that. It's definitely not the final version, which is under development at the moment. Okay, so that's what you have when you when you open you open the application with the EVOMS plugin. So we've got this workbench with the EVOMS perspective. So I told you that our processes and the tasks were registered like plugins. So in fact, we have started by creating a specific plugin project called EVOMS project, which has the plugin nature, the Java nature, the Python nature, and a certain structure to help the designer, the workflow developer, to ease this task of tool integration, basically, and deployment. So you can do finish at the beginning. So it's creating a certain structure. It's also creating already opening a diagram to create a workflow. So the background area is really the workflow itself. It will contain several tasks, I will show you, and those tasks simply are related by parent-child relations and their data connecting. That's what I'm going to show. So you start by, for example, creating a script. Okay. So in this script, you decide to give some inputs. So I will give whatever kind of inputs. So the inputs today here, those inputs are very simple inputs. That was for demonstrating the prototype. Nevertheless, I will show you the object input, which is a bit different, and it will be the transition for the perspective I will briefly discuss in the end. Okay. So I define 2 objects, let's say. Now another script, and I will connect them. So I can't show you a real Airbus process, of course. So sorry for those very stupid and dummy examples, but that's not the purpose today. Okay, so now I'm going to, so that's my 2 scripts. For example, I'm going to connect them, meaning that, so 2 tasks in parallel are just 2 tasks. And so nothing we do not create, we have not created classes like branches or sequence. So 2 tasks which are not related are just in parallel, and parent-child relation is defining the sequence. In terms of engine, I'm finished the connection. When you connect to two scripts, it is this dialog is opening so that you can say which data to which data you want, to which output to which input you want to connect. And they are sorted for an object. So I've got created 2 objects only, one in output, one here in the input. So it is connecting them by their type. So the 2 objects can be connected only. So that's something a bit also done by the prototype. So this black arrow is showing the parent-child relation between the scripts. The other one is showing the data relation because we were not able to use between the compartments to create links and to have nice visibility. So we've done this kind of relation showing here on this line which data are connected, but we are going to remove that and to change it so that it's more visible, because of course when there are plenty of data and plenty of boxes, it's completely unreadable. However, we've got the filters which can help. What next? What's next? So you need on the script to say what is going to do this script, basically. So for that we've got a runner. So that's where you do the tool integration, basically. So for the runner languages, we've got two choices, the Java or Python. That was a request from our user to be able to wrap or to integrate tools from both Java and Python. So Java is quite natural, of course, because the EMF, all that is Java, it's natural. Python is less natural. I will tell you later how we did the Python wrapping. But let's start by the Java. So in fact, when I select the Java, so this runner is not existing, that's why it is in red. I click on it, and it is opening me the Java wizard. Okay. So that's why we find it very, very easy to do that in Eclipse, because of course we've reused all those IDE capabilities without doing just connecting them. Basically, if I select the Python, that's obviously the Python wizard which is open. So let's go to the Java. I create my class, finish, and you will see that also to help the user, the designer, as much as possible. So this class is pre-filled with the getters and setters of the data, so that he knows what he's going to that he has already the getters and the setters there, and here in the run he has just to implement what he's going to do. So I'm not going to do something very complex here. I'm just creating. I think I missed something. Sorry, I missed something. I'm going to delete it and redo it because I forgot something on the data because they are objects. As my data are objects, I need to give them the class, in fact. So I'm going to give here a date class. And here, string class. Okay. And as my two objects are of two different types, I need to define on the link an adapter to say the platform how it's going to transform this date to a string. Because we have noticed in our experience of workflows that we were designing boxes like that for tool integration, and we spent, and between those boxes, or business boxes, there was plenty of boxes to do data transformation from one to the other. Because the tools have their own data formats and their own domain, per whatever. And finally, your big workflow, you've got maybe 3 or 4 domains, business tasks, and you've got a huge number of data transformation boxes which are completely making it heavy to read, heavy to look at, heavy to maintain, things like that. So that's why we decided to do that. We decided so that the platform has to manage those data transformation thanks to the adapter mechanism of Eclipse simply. Okay. So when I'm here, I'm asked to create a date to string adapter factory. That's what I'm going to do now. If there is one, in fact, already to match 2 objects, he will propose for some, but here I have not. So same, it is pre-transformed, and I will do something like I will add some text to show you that it's doing something. It's really passing through this code. like nothing big, but just for the demonstration. Okay, so now he's happy. He has his adapter, etc., etc. So in the script now, I'm going to redo the runner, and the runner here is simply going to do. I have to speed up. Set. Whatever. And the other one is going to do. So data one will be given by data2, and I'm going to print the results in the output. As I've got my getters and setters. So the processing are doing nothing. Don't worry. It's just to show you the principle. Okay. So I have defined my classes, my runners, I have defined my adapter, and now normally I should be able to run it. So my integer here serves to nothing. I don't use it, so I will give no value. So you give the values here. So this object is evaluated by the script. So I have nothing to give to execute this workflow. So if I execute it, I click in the background and I execute. It's confirming the inputs I have to give. Okay. And that's it. It becomes green when it is finished, the status is finished, and normally the value of data2 is really transformed, so it has indeed applied the adapter. Okay, so briefly to finish, when you are happy with your workflow, you register it, meaning that you know that I register one. I can register everything individually. I can register the complete workflow. If I register the complete workflow, it opens me this dialog, and it asks me to use to create a category. Either I create a new one, either I use an existing one, either I create a new one. I'm going to use an existing one. Okay. And when now I do process from registry in my workspace, I've got my workflow called the new events project because I did not give it a good name, and I'm able to reuse it. So if I reuse it, it creates me a kind of box, which are just showing the data which are not linked together, the real input and output data of the complete black box of the workflow. Okay, so that's this workflow is becoming a task can be embedded into a wider workflow eventually. Okay. So that's the idea. What else? So what else? After you're happy with that, you've got a plugin, you've got your classes, you've got all that. Yes. So the process from registry, in fact, what it is doing is that for the designer, it is obviously defining extending the process extension point, of course. So that's what my adapters first is declared here. And my new my register process is declared here. So that when I deploy this plugin and make it available, it becomes visible. It will become visible no more from the workspace here, but from the platform. Okay. The last thing I wanted to show, but it has not worked. So that's it. Is that here I have. So the last thing I wanted to I have discussed, talked about distributed engine, mean that in fact we want to execute the workflows or the scripts exactly where they are. And here, the platform, the workspace, the platform are on my local installation. This node, in fact, is representing a remote installation on my Airbus Airbus test, remote test environment, on which we have deployed certain plugins, VC-Worms engine plus certain plugins, which means that when the user wants to execute something remotely, in fact, he goes to this dialog, and instead of selecting a platform workflow, he selects Gizeh1, for example. So I'm going to extend, but it's not going to work. Because in fact, here, what he's doing is that he's contacting the remote to the network, and contacting this installation, and it is asking it, so give me back all the workflows in terms of XML, all the extensions of the extension pods, so that you can reuse. So it gives you back all the XML, you fill it, and you send it back to execute them, send it back to the Gizeh, and execute them. It's only transferring the XML, so the XMI, the EMF structure of the model, not the script, not the execution, of course, because they stay remotely. So why is it not working today, this afternoon? I think because in fact we use here the. In fact, this task is a remote task, a batch task. We are putting it in queue as it is a test and prototype. We are using a very low priority. So it may be possible that today on this environment there are tasks running, and there's simply no place for me as I have a very low priority. I'm just waiting, and that's the case. I'm waiting. So it's not. So this morning no one was working, but in this afternoon. People are working, and no chance that the loading works. However, it's the same. He will show you the categories, the processes. I select one, it appears. The XML is transferred back in my temporary folder. I fill it with data, and I send it back to the platform, the remote platform, to execute it. Okay, so I'm not going to insist on that because it's not working. I'm just going to say some words, the 3 minutes left, about the perspectives. I told you it was a prototype, so we are continuing to industrialize it. Knowing that having attending some workshop like EASE yesterday, I told you that we were wrapping some Python. We offer the possibility for tool integration in Python. Nevertheless, for doing that, we have been obliged to reproduce some Python code in order to understand the data, to parse the data, like integers, things like that. We have been obliged to do that, so that because we simply launch Python through the PyDev, to the Python interpreter, which you give by PyDev. But we need to know the data, so we have developed a small Python parser in order that it understands the small structure of the script, containing the data to be given to the Python, and duplicated all the types. Of course, with frameworks like EASE, of course, you could imagine to have a much more integrated communications between the Java and the Python, avoiding us to recreate this code, of course. I have mentioned the object. The object is something important. I have shown you the adapter capability, which is already something. We would like also to have the capacity to enrich this kind of data list, but not putting them in the model. Today they are put in the model. We would like to have an extension point also, so that the user creates their own data, designer their own data, and that those data can be recreated like by string representations, and included into the, so that we can apply the business rules on them, because these data, they have a data model, they contain their business rules, and it's not no more, it will be no more one data, but it will be a set of data, which could be interactively customized. Which could be rendered their business rules at the runtime. Finally, some words about the next thing about the usage of this workflow. So here I've shown you the diagram editor on the workflow. So a designer will create a diagram workflow by a diagram. Nevertheless, I told you that we were not really interested by that. We are interested into dynamic workflows. We are interested by things which are creating the workflows dynamically. In particular, in our multidisciplinary area, where we try to automate multidisciplinary purposes. It's called multidisciplinary formulation engine, which given a scenario involving several disciplines, an objective of optimization, a set of design variables that you want the optimizer to change in order to reach the objective. In fact, those multidisciplinary formulation engine defining this scenario, which will be finally given through the exposition of all those processes, all those variables and design variables provided by the platform. It will create itself a workflow. It will design itself the function objectives involving these design variables, and it will use the Evorms API to create a workflow. So it will not be designed graphically like that. It will be designed by a tool. This multidisciplinary formulation engine today is in Python, and again, so it is piloting, it is driving, it is calling the Evorms engine in Java, and again, we would like to use the EASE framework in that case, so that the engine, the Python engine, is clearly driving the Evorms workflow modeler, but also execution engine. That's it. 1 minute. Oh. Thank you.